Hi, it's Nick Davies from Nick Davies Hypnotherapy, NLP and Life Coaching, and today I'm grateful to be joined by Dave Astle. Welcome, Dave.
Good to see you.
So, Dave, just for the viewers, could you just tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, and what got you here to your current job?
Sure, yep. So I've been an ambulance clinician now for 7 years. 5 years of that I've been a paramedic, working on the front line. Prior to that, I spent about 10 years in the Royal Marines. So as you can imagine, it's been quite an eventful 17 years, quite chaotic. Got to do a lot of travelling, been through, experienced a lot really.
Yeah.
Some good things, some bad things.
I should imagine that. So what's it like on the front line being a paramedic kind of prior to COVID-19? What's your work like?
I mean, it's like most jobs, good days and bad days. I think the very nature of our job is quite stressful. If you think about it, we're always going to people who are either unwell or in pain or both.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be very stressful, frustrating at times when people aren't willing to cooperate.
Yeah.
You know, we get a lot of callers who don't really need an ambulance.
Yeah.
But I think with incidences like that, people just tend to panic and they just do what they think's right at the time. So you can't really.
That's a really interesting thing because I can't remember if it was you or somebody else told me that the numbers since COVID-19 of non-emergency people calling you guys out has really vastly reduced. Is that?
It has, yeah. So I mean, when the pandemic first started, and that's quite a big increase in numbers because people are just panicking.
Yeah.
A lot of the symptoms you get with COVID-19 are very similar to things like the common cold and just a normal cough, let's say. So people who had a common cold, for instance, obviously very panicked, thinking that they have the COVID-19. Some of them have maybe. We don't know, but yeah, it's just the initial panic just drove the job numbers quite high. Well, then the weeks have progressed. We've gone from like averaging, say, 10 jobs a shift to like 2 or 3 jobs a shift. So people don't want to go to hospital.
And I think that's what we needed really, because there was such a strain on the NHS initially with all this COVID-19 that, and you know, I know a few people in the blue light services, and one of the main things that they say is people panicking about things that don't really need, 999 attention. You know, it could be, what's the other number you ring? Is it 111 or?
Yeah, they've been very, very busy. Really.
So what are the, for you moving into this job, and I know you got married not long ago, how did you kind of feel, and what were the risks that you were facing? Because obviously you've just got married and then this COVID-19's come in, and then how was that, thinking that you might be a risk because you're there kind of at the sharp end every day?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, really, the way we look at COVID-19, before this pandemic started, we were already going to people with infections. So really, we just treat COVID-19 as another infection. But I think the biggest concern was the PPE or lack of. Obviously very concerned that might run out at any point. But in all fairness, the trusts which I've worked for, the companies I work for, have been quite supportive. They've never really, they've never forced us to go to an incident without PPE. If ever we've kind of ran out, or we're getting almost ran out, let's say, they've always replenished us pretty quickly. We've been really supportive, to be fair.
And what kind of stuff do you have to wear for your job? Because you're like hands-on and.
So all jobs as a minimum will wear masks, gloves, and an apron as well. But then the more serious jobs or confirmed jobs, especially things like cardiac arrests where we're using gases, it's a full hazardous suit that we have to wear.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
High risk of using gases, you see, can kind of spread the effect a lot further than normally.
Wow.
So, and that can get quite, it's difficult because it takes quite some time to get the equipment on.
Yeah.
We're always kind of fighting against time in our job.
I suppose having been in the Marines, you're used to these kind of high pressure situations.
Yeah,
I mean, for somebody like myself, I'm thinking, God, you know, how do you think of all these different eventualities and stuff? But
yeah, it's well, Marine trainings definitely came in handy like with this.
Yeah.
You know, doing things at speed. Yeah, so the kit can take a while to get on. It's quite sweaty as well, and if you're wearing goggles, your goggles will steam up as well, so you can't really see like you normally can.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be difficult at times, definitely.
And I suppose working out in these temperatures now with all the PPE that you guys have got to wear, it makes it just so much harder.
And one thing I've noticed as well with wearing masks all the time is headaches, constant.
Oh, really?
Headaches. Yeah, and you get quite nauseous with it as well. So that's not great. But it's you know, there's a risk out there, so you have to you know, prevent ourselves from it as much as possible, really.
So what's some of the toughest things? You obviously don't give details of areas or people, because I know you work across a few different what they call, not agencies, trusts. Yeah. But what are some of the toughest things you've had to deal with, or what, you know, challenging things?
Wow. So I mean, first of all, major trauma can be quite challenging at times, because not only do you have the patients, and in a lot of circumstances, the patient's the easy part, really, with treating the patient. But with major trauma, you've got a lot of assets, a lot of moving parts. So, for instance, if you go to a road traffic collision, if you're first on scene, ultimately you've got the patient to think about, or it might be multiple patients.
Yeah.
But then if you're on the side of a motorway, you've got traffic whizzing past you still, so you've got a safety aspect to think about, lots of hazards. You've then got to think about getting other people on scene, things like hazardous response team, critical care teams, fire. Police. So there's a lot going on and a lot to think about. That's what I find quite stressful. And also with a major trauma, an example, say we go to a person who's trapped in a vehicle, let's say. My treatment's limited until I get that patient out of the vehicle. So it reached my limitation, there's nothing else I can do. Yeah. So what's quite stressful is having to wait for that patient. Well, first of all, for the teams to turn up and to take the patient out of the vehicle, and then obviously. So is that like the fire brigade with the kind of cutting people out of vehicles? That sort of stuff, yeah. God, that must be. So you've got like, you have to work with different agencies and things like that, and liaise with. And I suppose you've got with the police and everything else, because they've got to report whether there's a crime committed. And that's it. And then, you know, you need police there to like control the traffic as well. Yeah. You know, and do their. Wow. So it sounds like quite a stressful job. It is. It can be. And yes, you've got major trauma. But I find some of the things like palliative care can be quite difficult. Perhaps not physically, but emotionally, it can be quite, you know, draining at times, because. Sorry, forgive my ignorance. What's palliative care? Palliative care, so end of life, people who are due to die, basically. Yeah. They might have like cancer, for instance. Yeah. So people who are waiting to die, essentially. Jeez, that must be. It is, because you just want to make people as comfortable as possible. And that can be difficult sometimes, but I think also. Those sort of jobs, I think most people can relate to having family members who have been in that position as well. So you can kind of have memories of your own experiences. Yeah, quite sometimes. That sounds tough. So just lastly, have you any advice for people out there? You know, how they can help you do your job, really. I suppose, you know, if. Yeah, I mean, definitely use a 111 service. So any advice that they need, call 111. Yeah. That's what they're for, ultimately, to give advice. If 111 then deem it necessary to send an ambulance, then they will do. Yeah. I think just try not to panic. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. From me doing the mental side of stuff, is like panic. It just changes everything in your mind. Everything becomes bigger, worse. And the funny thing is like, you know, in most situations, if you can stay calm and relax, you're going to preserve your life. You know, in terms of, you know, stress. I saw some research once saying that the majority of illness and disease has a connection to stress in about 90+% of cases. You know, so yeah, I would say, you know, that's one thing I like to teach people. You know, how not to panic and just to take some breaths and relax. And like you say, ring 111. It's a diagnostic service. I've rung them previously, you know, in the past when I felt ill and things like that. And I have to say it was a really good service.
People just want reassurance more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, the last thing they want is to, I mean, like, for instance, you know, if I was to catch COVID-19, I wouldn't be overly worried because, you know, I'm relatively healthy and fit. I think it's that fear of then passing it on to other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially children, you've got elderly
people and
after. So I think that's a big concern as well from people.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I've been very, very cautious of, is just, you know, I've got my hand sanitizer on my desk, to keep it there. I always make sure, you know, I've just been to the supermarket, I only go out once a day, but I always wash my hands before or after. And it's just little things like that, isn't it? Just to make give yourself the best odds, is what I say.
That's it. And to be fair, most of it's just common sense. Like I say, you know, if you go to the toilet, wash your hands, just basic hygiene, which we should do anyway as a default.
And I'm hoping when we all sort of get through this and we're all allowed out free, that, you know, we have a more hygienic population. Maybe that could be a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be good.
Anyway, Dave, I'm just going to wrap things up, but just from me and everybody, you know, thank you for what you're doing on the front line. Really appreciate that, and keep up the great work.
Will do. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Dave.